very prominent. So, are we going to keep the bird here? For the time being, yes, we are. Will we keep him here long term? Part of that's going to depend on that cage about which we spoke. And we need to get it designed, but then we need to get the support to build it. But then the ultimate decision of this bird's future is what, in our estimation, is best for this bird. If there is a point at which his life in captivity becomes detrimental or it loses its quality for any number of reasons, that could be, the decision will be made based on what's best for that bird at that time. That's the business we're in. Well, this bird that we released yesterday, I mean, some of the birds go exploding out of there and they take off and they're great. The bird that went out yesterday did fine. I watched the videos of it again this morning and I was remembering it being a little worse than it actually was. I get real used to the rockets that go off. That bird's not guaranteed a future. That bird is guaranteed a second chance. And it might go out and fly in front of a truck or land in the middle of the river and drown tomorrow, just like any other normal eagle. What this bird is getting is a second chance. It's got a better chance. It's got a whole support team, like that Verizon commercial, and there's David along behind it, with his whole veterinary team. But the fact is that there are a limited number of places where this bird will even have the opportunity to live out its life. Clearly, this is one of them. But am I going to stand here right now and say that 20 years from now, that this bird's quality of life, or 20 minutes from now, that this bird's quality of life won't change? I cannot and I will not make that promise. What I will tell you, as I think we have demonstrated pretty well over the last year, is we're going to bend over backwards to do everything we can to assure that every animal that is here has a quality of life. And we'll do the best for this bird that can be done, period. And will that mean forever and ever? Sooner or later, there's an end point for all of us. We've had, well, Junior's been here for 24 years. That's a clue. The Skylar, the bald eagle that I worked with, or with which I worked for years, that was trained in the glove, when he died, he was 23. And so, I don't know. Are we going to train this bird to fly like the bird at Dollywood? No, we are not going to do that. We don't do bird shows. That's not what we do. And will we train him to sit on a glove where he can be brought out? I don't know. That it's just too soon in the process. I've been the only one that's ever trained eagles here, and I don't have time for that, frankly, right now. And we'll see. But those are the kinds of things to which I know you want answers, and I appreciate that. But I'd rather tell you that we don't know than tell you something that I'm going to have to come back and untell you in the future, because I've dealt with you people. That's not easy. But no.
The other thing is this is a young bird. We haven't reached that reproductive stage yet when everything changes. And so when
carbonated hormones change a lot.
Yeah. With adult bald eagles, they are really difficult to keep in captivity for rehab, or even for rehab. They want to be out, things change, they want to be flying, and they can actually do a lot of damage to themselves in any kind of enclosure because just sort of bouncing off the walls. Will that happen to this guy? We don't know, but some of those life-changing events, such as reaching reproductive maturity, when hormones start flying around and such, I mean, that's something that we're just going to, he's going to live through, we're going to live through, and we're going to find out how he does. But those are the things we just can't predict.
Think of your average teenage human male, and how they change from being like normal children before they get to be human beings again. And so Dave's point is right. And now, in terms of what are we going to name this bird, he's already got a handful of names. We could call him, the Buddy Point Stanley. What's the other one? Easter. So right now, we're going to dodge that question. I am confident that we will find a way to link the naming opportunity with a fundraising endeavor.
I can also tell you that because this bird hasn't been transferred to our education department, so they're not training him or anything else, he's still a patient at the center, and all of our patients have a number. And that's so we don't get so attached to them. because we're dealing with these guys on a
Yeah,
daily
right.
basis.
Oh, I can
And,
tell you.
you know,
Right.
It's
I can
very
tell
tough
you're
when,
not
you know,
fast,
when
but I-
Yeah.
whoever dies at the end of
He's
a long,
just as big as we do
really long
when he's
procedure and
talking
everything. So
about
we
it.
keep things at numbers. It's just much easier for us to have to deal
Well,
with it on a daily
it's
basis.
a separate permitting system. He is still here under our medical permit, our rehabilitation permit. We have declared him non-releasable, so the fact that you're going to be able to see him today, he is no longer quote-unquote undergoing care. He's now undergoing maintenance. And so he's not in rehabilitation anymore in that sense, and will be transferred to our Eagle exhibition permit, which is a separate permit, same agency, but separate piece of paper, separate inventory, separate rules that apply. So, you know, I don't know. You got lots and lots of good questions, and it takes a while to come up with good answers. Yes?
I guess the bottom line is, I'm going to say Buddy's best chance would be before he reaches maturity to have that cage accessible to him. So if he chooses to fly and freak out, he's got a bigger habitat.
I would say that's a
And a
fair
girlfriend.
Yeah.
When would that be?
He's-
And a girlfriend.
2 years, 2.5 years. Usually bald eagles, by the time they reach their adult plumage at 4.5 to 5 years of age, then they're ready to breed at that point. So you basically have up until the age of 4 in order to sort of maintain that juvenile status.
So over the next year, if everybody gets things together for the cage within a year, that would be adequate amount of time.
Oh, yeah. Now, I mean, part of the thing that we're dealing with here, and we've got the luxury of, is making the decisions in a deliberate, proactive way, rather than, and that's one of the reasons we put off declaring him to be non-releasable. Now, in our minds, we more or less knew that for 6 months. In fact, probably longer than that, if you really want to get down to it. Once we realized that the orthodontic device that was put on didn't really work, and the beak continued to grow crookedly, that pretty well put the writing on the wall. But as Dave indicated, I mean, he was going to the absolute extreme, marking the beak to measure the growth, just to be sure before we pulled the plug on this guy in terms of his rehab and releasability, that there truly was no hope. And so, but because we weren't under the gun. He was doing fine in captivity. Some of the bird, the bird I released yesterday was one that was going to injure himself in captivity, and it happens. You know, when they're ready to go, if you don't get them out, when people say, "Why don't you give us more notice?" It's like we get the notice the birds give us. When they're ready to go, it's almost as if you flip a switch. And one day they sit there and they're all mopey, and the next day they're slamming into the walls, and that's when you got to get them out and get them out quick.
With this cage, okay, it's going to take a lot of money to build it. But there's a lot of businesses, Lowe's, Home Depot, who would love probably
Well,
to have
I mean,
some of that.
well, let me assure you that that's.
Can that be done?
Let me assure you that we are masters of scrappage.
Okay.
We built this building for 60 cents on the dollar. But I will also tell you that while that seems like something where we're thinking of one project, every community organization out there is beaten on. Every Boy Scout with an Eagle Scout project says, "Oh, Lowe's would love to be associated with this." Well, Lowe's would love to make a profit if they give it away all the time. So, yeah, we never pay retail for anything in which we can get a discount.
Okay.
But trust me, we really know how to
Because
do
we could
that.
attack them and they might do it.
Yeah, I can see them barricaded inside shooting nail guns out.
We could bring down their computer system.
Well, all right, I'll tell you what, we're probably getting close to needing to make our transition. If anybody has one or two last